Hello and Assalamualaikum guys. My name is Mohammed Shehram and you are watching Fun with Shehram. It's been a long time I haven't made a video. So today I am going to make a video and try to show you that what happened there on the flight of PIA 8030. Today we will see that how being overconfident can kill you as well as many people who are with you there. The aircraft for this journey was an Airbus A320-214. It's a type of aircraft that is also used for commercial flights. It was built in 2004. Now, about today's flight, the more information that I'm going to tell you is that today's flight was from Lahore to Karachi. It was a normal flight that was scheduled to take every day from Lahore to Karachi, but it was the first flight after the COVID-19's lockdown had been finished. So it was the Ramzan's ending days and people were going back to their homes to enjoy the Eid. At 13:05 UTC, its cruising altitude was above 10,000 feet, which was after takeoff. So as it was the holy month of Ramzan and pilots were uh, fasting, meant they had not eaten or drink anything from 4 to 5 hours. It is something like it can affect the power of decision making or decision taking. Obviously it will affect that you haven't had any energy, any proteins or any carbs, so it will obviously affect your power, decision making or anything else. So as the flight reached Nawab Shah, the flight was there in Nawab Shah. Nawab Shah is a place in the Sindh. As it lost the Punjab and it ended its route with Punjab, it ended now in Sindh, and it lost its UTC control with Punjab, which means now they will be connected to Sindh. They were connected with the UTC of Karachi where they had to land. Now ATC assigned them a route that was on Nawab Shah 2A, which was a long route. Nawab Shah 2A was a long route, and as I told you, it was COVID time and it was the first flight after COVID. So the pilots wanted to have a shortcut because it was COVID and there were not many flights and no flight at all at this route. So they wanted to change their route to shortcut, which was Nawab 1C. So they asked from the air traffic control ATC and they allowed them to change their route, and now they were assigned on Nawab Shah 1C, which was a shorter route because it was on their own choice. But they knew that this mistake would be a disastrous one for them. When they chosen the Nawab Shah 1C on their autopilot. Now what is autopilot? Let me tell you. Autopilot is an option or mode in flights that it is used when mostly in longer flights, and it wasn't that much long, but it was only 1 hour 45 minutes or 2 hour flight, but pilot used them. It is the mode on which the plane flies at its own. Now the computer inside the plane is flying the plane at that time, and you have to assign all weather, route and everything that where you want to go, and the plane will go there towards that side. Like the pilots are not now, like they are not driving the plane is being driven itself. So they first assigned Nawab Shah 2A on their autopilot, which was told by ATC, but when they changed when they asked from the ATC to change it to Nawab Shah 1C, so they forgot to assign it on the autopilot, and now the major mistake has been done from them. Now so the autopilot is on Nawab Shah 2 when plane was losing altitude slowly. Why it was losing its altitude slowly? Now the reason behind losing its altitude slowly, it was because it was a long route and they had much more time to lose their altitude steadily. So it was a longer route. But now they were traveling on Nawab Shah 1C, but they did not assign it on autopilot because on Nawab Shah 1C the plane had to lose its altitude more fastly because it was a shortcut. So when Though, so on the point of Makli is also another point on in the Sindh. They should be at 3,000 feet because now they are close to the ground. But the plane was on 10,000, which was shocking. That plane was on 10,000, like more than its double. Now the plane was too high to land. As when ATC observed that their altitude is too high, so said, can you approach easily or would want to make a 360 turn? Now what 360 turn? 360 turn is a type of is a route that is used mostly when the planes want to lose their altitude steadily. So they take a 360 turn so that they can lose the altitude rather than losing it more fastly or steeply. So it like losing the altitude comfortably. But it was the own words of pilot that we can make it, inshallah. Like he was confident and thought that I can make it, like I can do it. Till now, both pilots didn't knew that the mistake they have done is disastrous, and they didn't knew that they hadn't assigned it on autopilot. To lose altitude fastly, the plane nose was brought down to the ground more steeply, and now the plane was losing its altitude too quickly, which was not that good. It was dangerous. But as the pilot was confident that he could do it, so he said, "Let's try it." And now they were losing 2400 feet per minute, which I told you that it is dangerous. Now from 21 kilometer from the runway, when they were 21 km from the runway, the plane was on 6,000 feet, but according to rule it should have been on 3,000 feet. Again, the plane was on 6,000 feet and they should have been on 3,000. Now it was again on double of it. They were again advised to take a turn to lose altitude, but as usual, the captain denied. And he said that I can do it even if I take the lives of other people, but I will do it what I'm saying. And it was listened on black box that captain told to first officer. And there are two people. We all know that there are two people in the cockpit who handle the plane. The one is the captain, who is the major one, the first officer, who is the newer one. So he told to first officer, "Oh, hold on, what happened?" Now it was the moment when they realized that they had made a huge mistake. And their landing gear was also knocked down and they were too close to the ground. And now the landing gear wasn't possible to come down. Why? Because they were exceeding 190 knots. 190 knots is nautical miles, and they were exceeding it. And exceeding 190 nautical miles, you cannot take your landing gear down. And as they were losing the altitude too fastly or steeply, so their speed was too high, and now the landing gear was also knocked down. And captain, being more overconfident, then he said that we will land without the landing gears. Suddenly, many emergency alarms also started due to landing gear knockdown, and it was a panic situation. But captain said that no, I will do it, and I will not try to take any 360 turn or another landing. No, he said I have to do it in this one. At this point, captain also told to take an orbit. The first officer told to captain again that, "Sir, we should take orbit so we lose our speed and we'll take the landing gear down." But captain said, "No, we can make it, no problem." Plane was brought to the runway without the landing gear, as I told you first, and in 16 seconds the plane hit the runway without gear and 4 times, and by damaging its engines severely. Now the engines were damaged severely. The captain was too confused and there was panic in the cabin. The cabin is cockpit. Now what was the problem? That captain name was Sajjad Gul and the first officer was Azam Ali. Now the captain was sitting in the cockpit at the left side, and the first officer was sitting at the right side. Now it was an Airbus, so Airbus there is a yoke, not a joystick. There was a joystick. It is type of a stick which is on the both sides of the pilot where they sit. In Boeing planes, there are that yoke. You pull it and the plane goes down. You push, plane gets back towards the ground. So there was a joystick. So Sajjad Gul, the captain, who was trying to bring the plane to the runway and stop it without the gear, and he was pushing his yoke downwards. Whereas on the other side, the first officer wanted to take the plane back into the air and have an orbit, 360 orbit, to land it safely. So now the captain Sajjad Gul was pushing the yoke, his joystick, downwards, damaging, like meaning that engine was having more contact to the ground rather than Azam Ali, the second officer, as he was pushing his joystick backwards to get back in the air, so his engine was safe and it was in the air. But the engine towards the captain's side was facing the ground and was getting more and more damaged. Now the captain said to us, the first officer said to Captain, "Sir, we should need to take a we should have now go for second landing chance." And after 2 seconds of this, the plane was again back into the air. They started to lose the oil. Now why they started to lose the oil? The oil was leaking because the engine was damaged and oil started to leak from it, which was now another problem which they couldn't have faced because the fuel was not much there, because they have taken their first chance to land, so they have used much of the fuel, and now the fuel wasn't left much, and they were leaking as well. They even lost their first engine, but after 1 to 3 minutes it again started back, so now both engines were working. They got 3000 feet. They gained an altitude 3000 feet after back in the air, and were taking turn back to land on the runway because they were taking their orbit back to land it. But as I told you, the overconfident of pilot, he was overconfident, and the things were getting worse. Controllers told them that the both runways are now open because it was an emergency situation, and the both runways are open, and all of the other planes on the radar were told to shift themselves to another airports, or they have to wait in the air. Now he told them that the both runways are clear and you can land on anyone you want. Now the plane lost both engines suddenly because of the oil leaked, and oil was finished and they lost their both engines. And then there is a turbine, that is the last option to only control the systems in the plane for some time. Now the plane was taking its turn without engines, which was very dangerous, and it was losing its altitude too quickly. And they brought their landing gear down as well too quickly. Now, what landing gear, like which impact that landing gear had now? Landing gear, as it was down, so it created that resistance pressure, which led to that the speed of the plane was also decreasing. So that was the impact of landing gear that came quickly. So they landing gear was down too quickly rather than they had to wait for it, but they brought it down, so they couldn't do the mistake the last time they have done. At 1000 feet they were aligned with runway. Now they were only 1000 feet from the ground, but they were aligned, and they were aligned from the runway as well, but they were too away from the runway. After some seconds, the plane was out of radar. The plane was out of radar of the ATC, and it meant that only one thing has happened, that was the plane has been crashed. The plane was crashed in the highly populated area of Model Colony. Model Colony is a colony in Karachi, and it's near airport, the runway, and it was only 1 or 2 kilometers from the runway where the plane crashed. According to the investigation, the pilot was the major culprit of the crash, including many other reasons, such as they had a fasting. Then other research that has been made, it was that if they would have been stopped the plane on the ground in the first time when they were without landing gear and landing, and if they would have been stopped the plane, so there might be a bit of fire, not much, and they could have been landed safely, but they again went back into the air, and so that was another reason. So it was actually a really sad accident in Park Aviation, and what we could learn from this story is that overconfident is something that can take your lives and many other people. I hope guys you liked the video and enjoyed it, so please like, share, subscribe and press the bell icon with you guys. Allah Hafiz. Thank